Good evening, welcome to Locker Talk. I'm Blaine Weyland. We're talking about the sporting issues in Estevan on a very special edition of Locker Talk, the birthday edition of Locker Talk. Of course, of one of our guests tonight. That is Chris Stubel, joining us along with his brother Lucas Stubel. First off, happy birthday, Chris.
Yeah, and right back at you.
Yeah, oh, well, of course, I had to get your birthday out of the way, just not to make it so egotistic of me. But don't worry, Lucas, I don't want you to sing happy birthday to us because the only time I like you to sing is after a Bruins win. But unfortunately, you're on the shelf right now, but hopefully playoff time, we'll see you back on the Bruins blue line, leading the charge, and what we're hoping it's going to be the first series for you guys, the second round of the SJHL playoffs. The first series counts as the Survivor Series, which you guys are in a battle for. But first off, I guess I'm just going to go right to you and just talk about how tough it is right now. Obviously, in your 20-year-old season, missing down the final few regular season games.
It's really tough. I mean, sitting out watching them play, can't help my team because my wrist is all messed up, and being my last year, it's tough to watch. I mean, he went through it. He didn't even get to play in the last game as a 20-year-old, so at least I got a chance to play in a few more games.
Well, that's a nice segue. Chris, talk about that experience. Obviously, that must have been heartbreaking.
Yeah, it was tough. Sitting behind the glass and watching Barry Sparvier, I guess, basically end my junior career and being basically helpless, I guess, wasn't the best feeling in the world for sure, but hopefully from that experience I can try to help Luke stay positive and get back as soon as he can.
And one thing you both have in common, Lucas and Chris, is the fact you both are well-known Bruin players, homegrown products. I'll ask you guys the same question, obviously with different answers. And Lucas, for you, what was it like growing up watching your brother play for the Bruins?
I thought it was pretty cool having a brother as a Bruin. I mean, when I was younger, the Bruins were like what we did on nights that we had nothing going on, and all my buddies went to the games, and I thought it was pretty cool to have an inside to the Bruins, having him on the team as my brother.
And Chris, what's it like watching your younger brother playing for the Bruins kind of after you're done playing with the Bruins?
It's pretty exciting, actually. Going to the rink every night, it's kind of, you got something to look forward to, and I'm hoping that having me going through everything, I can give as much knowledge as I can to him to help him better himself. And it's just exciting to have your brother on the Bruins as well.
I guess so. This is more when Lucas played, because I'm sure when Chris was playing for the Bruins, he didn't really offer much tips or advice. But how much do you guys, discuss in terms of Lucas play? Do you guys have a continuous dialogue where, you're constantly talking about with Chris, maybe giving him pointers? Is that something you continuously do, or is that something you might do just once in a while? Because a lot of people said that's, a lot of people like talking a lot about their own game, but some people, kind of prefer just doing kind of once in a while. Is it kind of a continuous dialogue between you guys when you're talking about Lucas's game?
I think for the most part, if I see something out there that I think he can maybe do better, I just let him know. And if he has any questions at all, then he comes to me if he can't get it figured out on his own from watching video and whatnot. But I think for the most part, we kind of talk a little bit about each game after each game.
January 1st, 2011, really got the year started right for both of you guys. Chris, you got the win in the alumni game for the alumni Bruins, and Lucas, you and the current Bruins beat the Red Wings in Weyburn. And I quickly asked your mom the next day, and I was like, was that the first time ever that both of your sons got wins in Weyburn? And quickly, she didn't even have to think about it. She said yes. So obviously she was pretty ecstatic, but what was that like for you guys? Both picking up wins in Weyburn, picking up wins in enemy territory.
It was pretty cool. I mean, that was my first win in my junior career there, so that felt really good. And I mean, for our alumni to beat them again in their home barn and we've handled them pretty good there, so I thought it was pretty all right to get a win.
You guys are starting kind of a good streak there with the alumni with the 2 wins in the 2 games. You're kind of setting yourselves up a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? As much as everyone says it's for fun and everything, I don't think anyone in either room really truly wants to lose. As you can see, like in the last 15 minutes or so of the third period, it really kind of revs up as much as a rec type hockey game can rev up. But it should be a good thing for years to come, and hopefully it'll stay going.
This weekend, obviously, it's a big weekend for the current Bruins as they're taking on the Weyburn Red Wings in a home and home set, which will likely decide who's going to finish in third spot in the Sherwood Conference, with the loser of these two games, or whoever finished below, will finish fourth, and we'll move on to the Survivor Series in that best-of-5 series that no one really wants to play, even though last year both teams in the SJHL Finals came from the Survivor Series. But just first going back to the Estevan Weyburn situation, I just want to ask both of you guys, do you guys got a particular memory that really stands out in the whole Bruin-Weyburn Red Wing rivalry? Is there anything that really stands out? And it could be from you guys watching in the stands, or it could be something that you guys got involved in the ice.
I might be a little too young to remember. I don't really remember any kind of brawls with Weyburn or anything watching.
Really? Because I remember the first game I watched you guys 3 years ago. There was a big brawl at the Estevan Civic Auditorium, and that was my first game watching you guys, and I thought, really, this is a team I'm going to be calling play-by-play for. Interesting. I was hoping that every game was like that, and unfortunately it didn't turn out that way. As I believe it was I believe Mark Cross got a lengthy suspension. That was his second game? Was that his third game? Maybe?
It might have been the third. I don't remember that because I wasn't playing, so I don't really remember the games I don't play in because I was kind of just ticked off about not playing. But yeah, other than that, I guess just our last game we had here kind of got heated. They're kind of running around like a bunch of donkeys, and so we kind of decided to let them have it a little bit, and the fans are getting into it and stuff. So I guess the most recent memory would probably be our last game we had here on the 3rd, I think, of January.
How about you, Chris? Anything stands out in your mind with the rivalry with Weyburn?
A couple things, I guess. When I was really little, hardly remember it. There was a time when one of the Estevan fans was leaving the rink, and someone from Weyburn stole his hat or something like that, and the guy went running out after him, and I remember it getting a little heated in the stands when I first was watching the games. They had a chicken or whatever strung over the goalie and stuff like that. But as far as playing, I believe it was exhibition season, we had 2 line brawls in one game against Weyburn, and I think that was the most memorable thing for me, was that happening, because I'd never been involved with really a line brawl, nothing like that, but that was definitely the most memorable.
And Lucas, one thing that's kind of really been missing out of this rivalry is the fact you guys haven't met in the postseason in a long time. I'm not even sure off the top of my head how long it's been since Weyburn and Estevan's crossed paths in the postseason. And the way it's looking like right now in the stands, the only way you guys are going to meet is in the conference finals, and a lot of things have to happen before that. So really, do you look at this weekend, it's kind of the playoff rivalry, the playoff series between Estevan and Weyburn, the final 2 games this season?
Yeah, I think it'll be a playoff-like atmosphere. They're at 1 point ahead of us for the 3rd spot to stay out of the Survivor Series, and I mean, we need these 4 points this weekend to get in the 3rd spot and then hold it, so we can get guys, I guess, like myself and even Ty Harris and stuff back healthy for the playoff run. So I think it'll be like a playoff-like atmosphere for sure. It always is against Weyburn. It's always been a good rivalry, but this weekend's going to be huge.
Would you say, both of you guys, that it's been almost 6 weeks since Estevan faced Weyburn, but a lot has changed for both teams since that time, especially, I guess, for the Estevan side. New coach, that happened right after that 3-game set. Chad Leslie moved in as a head coach. And as well, I think a big addition for the Bruins as well, Jonathan Cece. I think he was the best player in January for the Bruins. That's one extra weapon you got with the Bruins. So on the Bruins side, you got addition, and really, I think from Weyburn, they've only really had a subtraction. Is that right? With the 2 twins, the Cowie twins. I think that's the only bit of the roster change, and that's 2 of their best players out of the lineup. So would you say that really the beauty of the SJHL season, you can really chuck out all the games that was prior to this weekend's game between the Bruins and the Red Wings?
Yeah, I mean, we've only beat them once this year in their home rink, so yeah, we're only a point behind them. So I guess the past 7 games I think we've played them is kind of history, and as long as we can get these 2 wins, we'll be ahead of them by 3 points, and that's all that matters, is that we're ahead of them at the end of the day in the standing.
How big is it, do you guys think, it's not to play in that Survivor Series, even though last year where LaRange and Yorkton both played in the Survivor Series, they went on to win to the league championship, but I can almost guarantee that every team in the league will say, nope, we don't want to play in the Survivor Series. Even some teams might say, well, you play during that week, you don't sit on the bench for a week, but obviously looking at Lucas' injury, Ty's injury, I think it's safe to say that you guys wouldn't mind having a week off.
Yeah, that week off would be huge. It'd be nice, like the guys from Larange that we have on the team this year are saying it was nice to play in the Survivor Series, kind of get things rolling for the playoffs. But I think, it'd be real nice to get out of that series and just have a week to rest and recuperate for the big series that come after that.
Big day tomorrow for the SJHL in Estevan. The President's Cup is coming here, the league trophy, along with all the award winners, and as well this year they're announcing the award nominees. The award nominees being most outstanding player, defenseman of the year, and rookie of the year. First I'll ask Chris. Lucas, I don't know if you're going to be partial or not, but Chris, I want to get your thoughts on who would be your picks in terms of those awards. If you want me to stall for you a little bit, I'll give you my thoughts. I still think, I said a couple weeks ago, I thought most outstanding player for the Bruins right now, if I'm going most consistent forward, I think I say Mark Ross. I think throughout the season he's done a best job in terms of being consistent through the entire season as well. He is their best face-off man, penalty killer. That's why I like Mark Ross. Just the fact, I stress consistency for that award because a lot of guys have great seasons, but it's been kind of peaks and valleys. So in terms of most outstanding player, I like Ross. Do you agree? Do you got another pick in mind? It's someone else?
It's hard to disagree with that pick. I mean, every night that Mark shows up to the rink, he brings a consistent effort, and talking to people, they even say like they like Mark Cross because he's there every night. You know what you get from him, and I can't really argue with you on that one for sure.
And just to mention out some other guys who got I think a possibility are, I think the captain Troy Hunter, Ryan Anderson are just a couple of guys who I think will be in the running for that most outstanding player. The next award, I think, is the toughest one to decide, and you both might have conflict of interest. That's Defenseman of the Year. At Christmas time, I said I couldn't decide between Joel Cott, Ty Ayres, and, of course, the aforementioned Lucas Stubel. Then with Cott's injury just before Christmas, missing a month, I think that took him out of the run, and so now it's down to the two injured defensemen now for Ty Ayres and Lucas Stubel. And I don't know. I really have a hard time picking. I almost want to say Lucas, because he's sitting beside me. No, but I think if there's one thing that really I think maybe separates Lucas and Ty a little bit, I think Lucas is a little bit more consistent. But the thing I like about Ty, too, I think he's pretty much well-rounded at both ends of the ice. He's just as good offensively as he is defensively. So that's why I'm kind of indecisive in terms of picking those two guys. But so I'll let you decide. Is there a situation though you can't go wrong? I think it's a decision you can't go wrong either way, and it's just I really almost think it's a situation where I think both guys should get it. I think it's that close, but
yeah, it's a tough one, right? And I can sit here and say that I think my brother should get it and whatnot, but I mean, Ayres has been, since I started watching Ayres, I wasn't a huge fan of him, I'll be honest, but this year he's come in with a whole new attitude, it seems, and he just really played well, and Cott come in and did a job, I guess, and all three of them really, like you say, good candidates, and yeah, I don't know, I think since Christmas I would definitely have to say that I'd give it to Luke, but before Christmas maybe Ayres, so it's a tough one like you say. But we'll see what's decided.
What's your thoughts, Lucas? Come on.
We got 8 good D-men. I think the 3 you guys mentioned, obviously I'm a bit biased, but the 3 you guys mentioned are great. I mean, Ayres is putting up points. He's doing unreal. Cott's the same thing, putting up points. Whatever, it don't really matter to me. I mean, individual awards are great, but I think it's all about team success. And the further we go, and if we can get a SJHL championship, I'll trade that for any individual award.
I'll ask both of you quickly about sticking on the defense topic. Would you guys say that it's been the most improved unit over the last month? And that is 1 through, I guess, 8, because guys like Matt Spack and Eric Baldwin have really stepped up. And with your absences, and it was almost a case situation where it looked like, maybe guys Matt Spack and Eric Baldwin, we were going to say they're so good, but it's a shame they're not playing. But unfortunately, with the injuries, they're going to have to step in. But I still think it's a situation where guys should be pretty comfortable with those 2 guys in the lineup as well.
Yeah, I'm personally comfortable with any 6 that we throw out there any night. I mean, they both work hard in practice. I mean, all 8 of us work really hard in practice, and it just whatever 6 are in there, I think like you said, it's been a very much improved back end. So whoever's in there, I have all the confidence in the world in them.
Rookie of the year, I think it comes down to a 2-horse race, and I think it's a contrast of players I like in terms of Rookie of the year. If we're thinking offense, the dynamic player that I think is one day going to be the number 1 center for the Bruins, number 23, Cole Olsen. The other player I think is up for the running is, I think, could be a future captain for the Bruins. A guy he really reminds, I don't know, Lucas, I'll ask you too, but he reminds me of Kyle Garrick and Josh Jelinski. Except maybe Kyle was a little bit tougher. I'll give him that. Plus the beautiful hair he had. I'll just add that. I have to throw that in there for the toughness, but the scrappiness of their play reminds me, obviously of Kyle when I got to watch him in his final year in Estevan, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Josh Jelinski's play. But I think it boils down to Rookie of the Year to those 2 players, and the Rookie of the Year is kind of a hard one to pick because the criteria of what exactly defines. If we're talking about consistency, I think that goes to Josh Jelinski, because I think he's been one of the most consistent forwards overall on the team, especially being an 18-year-old forward. But if you like that offensive dynamic, I think you got to go with Cole Olsen, because at times this season he's really shown that he can be a key part for the future for the team. So what's your guys' thoughts about kind of the young faces for the Bruins?
I liked Jelinski since camp. I saw him out there and I said that kid's going to be a player, and I'm glad that he proved me right. And his grittiness and stuff is something that I think they might have lacked a little bit last year, and it was huge to have him here, and he pokes his nose in wherever. And like you say, if you're going offense, you're going Olsen. If you're going consistency and just plain old hard work, it's Jelinski hands down.
I agree totally. They're both good candidates. I mean, Ole's really, really skilled. And Jelly, I mean, he'll fight anybody. It don't matter if he's 6'5", 5'2". He'll fight anybody. It doesn't matter if he loses or wins. He's that type of player. He's gritty and feisty like that, and he loves it. So,
especially, I can't remember who he fought in Kindersley, but he stepped into someone of Kindersley, and it was a tough fight. But I said during the broadcast, that's a situation where a guy earns a letter, and that was right there with Josh Jelinski. I think he could be very much wearing a letter next season as a 19-year-old. I think that's a very distinct possibility, especially with a little bit of turnover with the 20-year-olds moving on next season. But overall, there's one thing I got to touch with you, especially Lucas. So safe to say the big part, obviously, besides playing the Survivor Series, it likely means a showdown with Kindersley. Is that the team that you guys really want right now? Because I think it was a situation before where, okay, maybe Joel Daniel won at Yorkton, but the rest of you guys, I think, was in a situation you guys will take whoever comes your guys' way. But after what happened last time you guys played Kindersley, is it fair to say that they kind of caught your guys' attention the wrong way after that?
Yeah, I mean, that's who I want, and I think all the boys in the room want them. The season series was tied, and it's going to be a great matchup, but what they did on our home ice after they won with their little hot dog, I don't care if it was in a NHL video game, what they did after our game didn't sit the right way with any of us, from our coaches, trainers, right through the guys that weren't even playing. So they're who we want, and they're who we're going to take out.
What do you think, Chris? Is that kind of a big mistake? I'm just kind of thinking of Kindersley's end. That you got a team that now wants to play it. They are really revved up and still to be determined. The Weyland Red Wings are standing in the way from the Bruins taking on the Clippers in the playoffs. And plus, there's a slight chance Kindersley could catch Yorkton. But the fact is that they really stroked the fire in the Bruins, and now it could be a situation if they do face in the playoffs that the Bruins will definitely be having their engines revved for that one.
Yeah, I think it's a case of, they've kind of had the Bruins number all year. They've had tough games. I know the series was even and whatnot, but it just was one of those teams where on any given night they could beat you. And now to give a team that extra fire, it's just like someone coming out and saying something stupid right before a series. So I think it's going to be a big mistake, and I hope that the Bruins can play them, and I hope that they can knock them out because that would just be so sweet.
And both of you guys, obviously, products of Estevan minor hockey. But I got to ask you guys, so what's kind of the secret to the success of Estevan minor hockey, especially, it still continues, the midget double A's are, in the process of making it far into the provincial playoffs. I don't want to say they're going to go all the way quite yet, as they're into the league finals provincials. But what's kind of the secret for success? Because it's not just, it's not just a situation where just a 1 year or 2 year class has really excelled. It seems like it's a continuous thing where, Estevan minor hockey is feeding players all the way, as we see with obviously you guys, into the SJHL and beyond. So what do you guys think is the secret to the success?
I don't know. I think it's just, like in the midget ages, like guys kind of choose to stay home, get their education. They don't go play midget AAA. When I played, we had a lot of guys that could have went on to play junior, and lots of us did, like me and Spence were both playing. And I think it's just because we choose to stay home, and kind of midget AAA in a sense is kind of overrated, I think. I don't know, he played midget AAA, I just chose to stay home. And when I got up to that level, we had a lot of good coaching too, so coaching helps too.
What do you think, Chris? What's your kind of thoughts?
Well, everyone around here seems to take their winters serious, and I don't know, parents push their kids in the right direction, and there's lots of outdoor rinks, and having the Bruins come out to practices and little stuff like that just helps the kids along the way. And like Luke said, with kids staying home from playing AAA midget and stuff like that, it can be totally beneficial because I think after going through it, you should stay and play where you're going to play rather than sit on the bench and maybe waste a year. I would say just stay at home and play. So I think, that would be a big part too.
Now there is one difference between you guys in terms of playing with the Bruins, because you spent time, Chris, with the in the dub, and that's the big difference with Lucas not playing the dub. It kind of knocks off the NCAA eligibility. What do you think is in the situation for Lucas? Do you think that's a good situation for him to be in, the fact he's still got that door open, that he's got that opportunity to head down south and possibly get a free education? That's kind of the benefits of, foregoing any play in the dub.
Yeah, definitely. I think if you have any doubt at all of whether or not you're going to make a Western Hockey League team, I would say stay and play SJ or MJ, whatever it is, and still have that option, because once you play like even a game, you're almost done. So it's a good option, and a lot of good players are starting to come out of college hockey, like Jonathan Taves and what have you. It's a good option.
Lucas, I will just ask you about your thoughts about playing next season. Is there any place desirable in terms of whether do you want to play NCAA? Do you prefer to stay, maybe go with the CIS route? Is there any destination that you prefer to go on, or is it kind of what kind of fits the puzzle, I guess, in terms of, obviously there's some places got to want you and kind of that stuff, but is there any preferred destination you want to go through?
I don't really have a preferred destination. I just want to keep playing hockey. I don't want to be working full time next winter. It's too cold. But I guess kind of wherever I'm gonna fit in good, and whoever kind of wants me the most and is showing the most interest, it don't really matter to me where I'm playing. I just want to keep playing some kind of college hockey anyway.
Well, Lucas, there's 4 more regular season games at the Civic Auditorium before the playoffs begin. Here's a big selling point. Just to explain why to everyone that the Civic Auditorium is the place to be over the next couple of weeks, watching you guys down the playoff stretch.
I think we just got a good team this year, and everyone's saying around town, I'm from here, so I hear a lot in the summer that, they finished in last year. Haven't been very good for a couple of years, but we got a winning team this year. We're in a battle for third. We're going to be in the playoffs, make a long run. Might as well get out off your couches, get out of the house for a little while, come watch some good junior hockey. We appreciate it when you come. It makes us play that much better when the seats are full, because we know people care, and it's just kind of, as a player, it helps you get ready for games and gets you excited to play.
And really, when I look through the league, I don't see no clear-cut favorites. I think that I think it's a 16-horse race right now. And really, even the bottom, the teams that are the 7th and 8th, they're not too far away. So I think it's a situation where it's really close, a lot of parity, and even if you guys finish third, it's almost, you guys could almost have the most momentum heading in. So that's a big positive, you think, as well, too, that the fact you guys could be the best team. You guys had that tough one in Notre Dame, but otherwise, I thought over the last month, you guys have been looking as good as any team in the SJHL.
Yeah, I think we've been rolling. We've got a good thing going here. All the guys have lots of confidence and stuff, and I mean, it doesn't matter where you finish, I guess, as long as you get in. We've seen last year a 4th and 5th place team in their respective divisions made the league final, so as long as you get in, you never know what can happen in the playoffs.
Now, before we sign off, I just got to mention one thing. 1995, Chris. I don't know if you remember July of 1995, but we took part in the baseball provincial championships. I just had to point that out, that the old humble Blue Jays beat the Estevan Haulers. I believe the final score was 5-3. I don't know, because actually it's funny, this weekend me and my best friend, one of my best friends who was on the team, we still talk about the final because it was a grounded third baseman and he threw it to the first baseman, which was me. And we relive the moments. We do every year, at least 3 times a year, because a couple of my friends, we're on that team. We still talk about it today. We still talk about the final out because we were a part of it. But I just thought I'd mention it because, well, you were there because we were in Melfort last week. Lucas told me that you were on that Estevan team, and I had a big smile because I finally got someone that could say, yes, we beat you guys in a big moment. But no, guys, thanks for stopping by this week on Locker Talk. Great to have you. Best of luck, Chris. Hopefully we'll see you back on the ice next season. I know it must be tough this season not playing any kind of really organized hockey, but...
Yeah, it's been tough, but helping out with the PBAAs here in town has really kept my fire going, and hopefully we can keep going as well.
And Lucas, well, hopefully we see you back in time for that opening game of the playoffs, whether it's in the Civic Auditorium or on the road, but hopefully when the postseason starts, we'll see the return of Lucas Stubel.
That's the plan. As soon as I can get a playing cast, I'll be back.
All right, well, thanks a lot, guys, and that will do it for another edition of Locker Talk. I'm Blaine Weyland saying good night from Estevan.